Good morning. Happy Monday. Today's the first day of block number 2 of the class. I'm in computer programming right now. It's also an afternoon class, which means that I didn't have to get up super early this morning, which is awesome when you come back from a break, because that means you actually get to get that little bit of extra sleep. Get the Monday rolling. I'm figuring out that Monday is probably my favorite day of the week. Because you just get pumped. You get started, get ready for the week. You don't have to worry about all this other stuff. You just go. I like it. It's a good setup. Oh, look at that sky. I'm gonna film it. So I've never actually really done any computer programming before, but I figure it's kind of a cool and useful skill to know, to have that basic understanding of how this processes work and, the industry that I want to go into, the marketing, the public affairs, the communications. I think it might be valuable to at least be able to understand what those people are talking about when they're talking to me. I also want to see if I can create some sort of neat program that'll help motivate me as I'm studying, that you have features where you can pause notifications for 15 minutes, really get down and hunker at last minute things, and something that sort of is almost like a productivity manager for your personal computer, to make sure that when you want to be productive, that you're only allowed to be productive in those aspects.
I don't know yet. Probably leading code for everything. But good. How are you?
Look at my shoe. I like these socks. I don't want to get them dirty. Damn it, Sawyer. Can you go get it?
Sawyer, you should get his other one too.
It's down there. God damn it.
Can I see the other one?
No, you can't.
No, you're not. We need to encourage more bullying on campus. Oh, that's snake.
That would have been really.
I'm gonna block you.
Oh, it's all wet.
Oh, he's bringing it. What a shit.
No. Classroom 208 for class. Let's go learn some computer stuff, programming.
Sleepy.
What? So that's Esther. She used to go here, but now she goes to Minerva. How is it?
Intense, not as many mountains, still lots of great people.
Well, considering it's in San Francisco, I'd hope there's not as many mountains.
12 o'clock midnight.
Today was the first day of February block. That's the second block of the year, being 2016, and I'm in computer programming. And it's really weird. I honestly do not know how I feel about it yet. Excited, and I'm looking forward to it, but it's kind of weird. Over the past little while, I really haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to you guys about all the stuff with the funeral and with sort of my thoughts around everything that was going on. I sort of touched on it yesterday, but I was way too tired to really get into anything, and to be honest, I'm still not really feeling that I want to get into it or that I want to talk about it. But that's almost the best time to start talking about it, is when you feel uncomfortable, pursuing that uncomfort to sort of unpack why you're uncomfortable with it. The thoughts that I've been having lately that focus around this idea of death and how to feel about death really have nothing to do with this specific situation that I'm necessarily in. They all have to do with the fact that death is something that happens, and it's going to happen to everyone I know, and even myself, and there's nothing you can really do about that besides accept it. So how should you feel about that? It's this constant awareness that I think you need to keep in mind in order to understand that it's okay not to feel anything in regards to that it's okay to just be neutral about the fact that everyone will die. This thought that everyone will die reminds me of this one time when I was 8 years old, and I was in the car with my sort of kind of stepdad, half dad, my sister's father, Les, and I started to cry. And at the time I didn't really know why I was crying, but I knew I was crying because I was scared. I was scared of this idea of death, this idea that one day I might wake up and my mom might not be there. One day I might wake up and my grandmother or my sister or anyone else around me that's important to me might not be there. And the first thing he told me was, well, don't think about that. Think about zebras. Because death doesn't matter if you're thinking about zebras. Only zebras do. So I thought about zebras and I stopped crying, and every single time I've ever thought about crying about death since, I've thought of zebras. Zebras, zebras, zebras. They always pop into my head anytime the word death comes up as well. Watching Harry Potter once, and they talked about these Deathly Hallows, and all I could think was zebra. And so now every time I think of Harry Potter, I think of zebras. And every time I think of zebras, I think of Harry Potter, which makes me think of death. And then I just remember to keep thinking of zebras. Or wizards. So this idea of death gets kind of silly, you know? Thinking and worrying about it, it gets silly. If every time I think of death I think of zebras and wizards, well, what's the point? What's the point of being scared of something as fun and silly and as wild and crazy as zebras and wizards? So, although I may not know how I feel about this death right now, or how I feel about death in general, I do know one thing, that if I'm really worried about how I'm feeling, I can probably just think about zebras and wizards and be fine. Because who doesn't like some good zebras? Or some magical wizards. Have a good night.